Video 13, Factors Influencing Learning Area, CHES Sub-Competencies 1.5.3. Review the learning objectives for this video. Alright, now we are diving into one of the most heavily tested topics on the CHES exam, and once you really grasp this, so many other concepts will fall into place. Phase 3 of the PRECEDE model is called the Educational and Ecological Assessment. In this phase, you identify the factors that influence the health behaviors you identified in Phase 2. These factors fall into 3 categories: predisposing, enabling, and reinforcing. Predisposing factors are the knowledge, attitudes, beliefs, values, confidence, and perceptions that exist before a behavior occurs. They provide the motivation or rationale for the behavior. For example, a person who knows that physical inactivity increases the risk of heart disease has a predisposing factor that favors exercise. A person who believes that their health is controlled by fate rather than personal action has a predisposing factor that works against preventive behaviors. Self-efficacy, which is a person's confidence in their ability to perform a behavior, is one of the most important predisposing factors. Enabling factors are the skills, resources, and environmental conditions that make a behavior possible or more convenient once a person is motivated. Even someone who is highly motivated to eat healthy may not be able to do so if they live in a food desert with no grocery store within 10 miles. Healthy food costs more than they can afford, or if they lack the cooking skills to prepare nutritious meals. Enabling factors include income, insurance, transportation, availability of services, new skills, and supportive policies. Reinforcing factors are the rewards, feedback, social support, and consequences that come after a behavior is performed and determine whether it will continue. If a person starts exercising and receives encouragement from family members, positive feedback from a healthcare provider, and physical improvements they can feel, those reinforcing factors make it more likely they will continue. If they face ridicule, indifference, or no noticeable results, the behavior is likely to stop. Now here is the key takeaway, and this is really important for your exam preparation and your career. Effective programs address all 3 categories. A program that only increases knowledge, a predisposing factor without addressing access barriers, an enabling factor or social support, a reinforcing factor, is unlikely to produce sustained behavior change. All 3 work together, and understanding that makes you a more effective health educator. Now let us talk about health literacy, and this is a topic that has real practical implications for everything you do as a health educator. Health literacy is a critical predisposing factor that directly affects how you conduct your assessment and design your programs. Health literacy is defined as the degree to which individuals have the ability to find, understand, and use information and services to inform health-related decisions and actions for themselves and others. Here is something that might surprise you. Research shows that nearly 9 out of 10 adults in the United States have difficulty using everyday health information. This does not mean they cannot read. It means that health information is often written at a level that is too complex, uses too much medical jargon, or assumes background knowledge that people may not have. Limited health literacy is associated with significant negative outcomes, including higher rates of hospitalization, less use of preventive services, poorer management of chronic conditions, and higher healthcare costs. For you as a health educator, health literacy has profound implications for the assessment process itself. If your needs assessment survey is written at a college reading level, but your priority population reads at a 6th grade level, your data will be unreliable. People may misunderstand questions, skip items they cannot comprehend, or guess at answers. So here are the best practices I want you to remember. Write all assessment instruments and health materials at or below a 6th grade reading level. Use short sentences, common words, and active voice. Avoid medical jargon or define it clearly when you must use it. Include visual aids such as diagrams, pictures, and icons to reinforce written content. Use the teach-back method during interviews and focus groups. The teach-back method asks participants to explain information back to you in their own words. This allows you to verify understanding without asking the potentially embarrassing question, "Do you understand?" Always pilot test your assessment instruments with members of the priority population before full deployment. They will identify confusing language, unclear instructions, and cultural concerns that you may not have anticipated. For the exam, remember that health literacy is not just about reading ability. It encompasses the ability to navigate the healthcare system, communicate with providers, interpret numbers and statistics, and apply health information to personal decisions. Keeping that broader definition in mind will help you answer those exam questions with confidence. Now let me introduce you to a framework that you will use throughout your career as a health educator. Bloom's taxonomy is a classification system for learning objectives, and it helps you ensure you are developing programs at the appropriate cognitive level. Originally published by Benjamin Bloom in 1956 and revised in 2001, this taxonomy organizes thinking skills from the simplest to the most complex. Let me walk you through each level. The first level is remember. At this level, learners can recall facts, terms, and basic concepts. An example learning objective might be list 3 risk factors for type 2 diabetes. This is the lowest level of cognitive complexity. The second level is understand. Learners can explain ideas and concepts in their own words. An example might be describe how physical inactivity contributes to the development of cardiovascular disease. Understanding goes beyond memorization to demonstrate comprehension. The third level is apply. Learners can use information in new situations. For example, given a patient scenario, calculate the individual's body mass index using the standard formula. Application requires taking knowledge and using it in a practical context. The fourth level is analyze. Learners can draw connections between ideas, identify patterns, and distinguish between components. An example might be compare and contrast the risk factors for diabetes among different age groups. Analysis involves breaking information into parts and examining relationships. The fifth level is evaluate. Learners can justify a decision or course of action based on criteria and standards. For example, recommend the most appropriate intervention strategy for a community with limited resources and high prevalence of tobacco use. Evaluation requires making judgments supported by evidence. The sixth and highest level is create. Learners can produce new or original work by combining existing elements in novel ways. For example, design a comprehensive wellness program for a corporate workplace. Creation requires synthesis and innovation. For the CHES exam, you should understand how Bloom's taxonomy guides the development of learning objectives at appropriate levels. The exam expects objectives to use specific action verbs aligned with each level. Words like list, define, and recall indicate the remember level. Words like explain, describe, and summarize indicate understand. Words like apply, demonstrate, and calculate indicate apply. Words like compare, differentiate, and examine indicate analyze. Words like justify, evaluate, and recommend indicate evaluate. And words like design, develop, and create indicate the create level. Once you learn those verb cues, identifying the right level becomes second nature. You are doing wonderful work getting through all of this material. Read the scenario stem aloud. Give students 30 seconds to consider options before advancing. The correct answer is B. The correct answer is B because the assessment data shows that knowledge, a predisposing factor, is already present but behavior change is not occurring. This indicates that the barriers lie in enabling factors, specifically limited access to healthy food, and reinforcing factors, specifically family members discouraging change. Option A is incorrect because more knowledge will not overcome access and social support barriers. Option C uses fear-based messaging, which is generally less effective than building self-efficacy. Option D addresses only one enabling factor while ignoring the reinforcing factor of family influence. Summarize the